A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. Bringing you the news tonight, I am Shalini Ratnavira. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Cricket Transformation Committee meets for the first time. Moves made to appoint separate cricket, administration and procurement committees. Cricket board stepped down after admitting it couldn't rebuild cricket, says Sports Minister. Trump announces suspension of Project Freedom to secure merchant ships in Strait of Hormuz. UNPSJB unity possible under two leaders, says Harin. Supreme Court upholds death sentences of 4 convicts in Vidya murder case.
On to your top story tonight, the Sri Lanka Cricket Transformation Committee convened for the first time today under the chairmanship of Iran Vikramaratne.
All members of the Sri Lanka Cricket Transformation Committee attended the inaugural meeting, with the exception of former Sri Lanka captain Kumar Sangakkara. Sangakkara, who is currently engaged in the Indian Premier League, is expected to assume his responsibilities in the committee after the tournament concludes. During the meeting, the committee moved to establish separate committees focusing on cricket operations, administration and procurement. Key matters on the agenda of the meeting included the appointment of Sri Lanka's director to the International Cricket Council, the selection of an alternate director to the ICC, and the appointment of a director to represent Sri Lanka at the Asian Cricket Council. Sports Minister Sunil Kumar Gamage has said that the president of the cricket board and the office bearers appointed at the time have stepped down voluntarily after acknowledging their failure to rebuild cricket in Sri Lanka.
Recently, the cricket board president and the team that held office at the time resigned. They themselves acknowledged that they had failed to rebuild cricket in our country. We experienced this very clearly during the last World Cup. Taking all these factors into consideration, they decided to step down. As the minister, it therefore became my responsibility to appoint a committee to take matters forward. However, following the appointment of this committee, the opposition appears to have become unsettled and has attempted to shift the discussion in a different direction. Earlier, they repeatedly said that Sri Lankan cricket had collapsed and needed to be rebuilt, and that this could not be achieved under the existing cricket board. Those who made those arguments are no longer part of that discussion. Now, a different debate is being promoted. When we talk about rebuilding this country, it is the citizens of this country who must rebuild it. It is through the collective effort of capable, skilled and progressive citizens that our country can move forward. That is our policy. We do not consider a person's religion, ethnicity, whether they are from the up country or the low country, or any such distinctions. None of these factors matter to us. We do not bring cultural divisions into this process. What matters to us is only whether a person has the vision, capability and commitment to contribute meaningfully to the task of rebuilding our country.
අපේ රට ගොඩනැගීමේදී ඒ කාර්යයට දියුණු දැක්මක් සහිත පුද්ගලයෙක් විදිහට යාව සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක විතරයි.
US President Donald Trump threatened Iran with more bombing if it does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz after a report that an agreement is emerging to end the war.
US President Donald Trump issued a new warning to Iran, saying if they don't come to an agreement, the bombing starts and it will higher level and intensity than it was before. Trump wrote in a Truth Social post on Wednesday morning, quote, assuming Iran agrees to give what has been agreed to, which is perhaps a big assumption, the already legendary epic fury will be at an end, and the highly effective blockade will allow the Hormuz Strait to be open to all, including Iran. If they don't agree, the bombing starts, and it will be, sadly, at a much higher level and intensity than it was before. The president did leave open the door to an agreement which he said would end the US military operation against the country, but added it is possibly a big assumption the two sides can come to an agreement.
The United States believes it is close to reaching an agreement with Iran on a one-page memorandum of understanding aimed at ending the war and establishing a framework for more detailed nuclear negotiations. Washington is expecting Tehran's response on several key issues within the next 48 hours, though no final agreement has been reached, according to the report.
The White House believes it is getting close to an agreement with Iran on a one-page memorandum of understanding to end the war, and reports say that this was the closest the parties had been to an agreement since the war began. Among other provisions, the deal would involve Iran committing to a moratorium on nuclear enrichment, the US agreeing to lift its sanctions and release billions in frozen Iranian funds, and both sides lifting restrictions around transit through the Strait of Hormuz. Many of the terms laid out in the memo would be contingent on a final agreement being reached, leaving the possibility of renewed war or an extended limbo in which the hot war has stopped but nothing is truly resolved. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called for the Strait of Hormuz to be reopened as soon as possible in talks with his Iranian counterpart. The pair met in Beijing on what is Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi's first trip to China since the Iran war began. Wang Yi told Araghchi that achieving a lasting ceasefire was an urgent priority, saying it was important to persist with negotiations. He added that Beijing was ready to help de-escalate tensions. Both Trump and Iranian officials have credited Beijing with securing their acceptance of a Pakistan-brokered ceasefire in April. On Wednesday, Wang also emphasized safe passages through the Strait of Hormuz. Beijing has called the US naval blockade of Iranian ports irresponsible and dangerous, describing it as a move that would undermine the already fragile ceasefire agreement. The meeting comes a week before US President Donald Trump is set to hold a summit with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, during which the leaders are likely to discuss the Iran war and reopening of the strait. The upcoming meeting between leaders of the world's two largest economies, initially set to take place in March, was postponed after the US and Israel launched wide-ranging strikes on Iran. Trump's visit, if it happens next week, would be the first visit to China by a US president in nearly 10 years. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stressed that the United States military operation in and around the Strait of Hormuz is strictly defensive in nature, rejecting claims that it involves offensive action. Rubio said it was important for the public to understand that there is no shooting unless they are shot at first, describing the mission as a defensive operation. He emphasized that U.S. forces are not attacking anyone but will respond if they are attacked or if commercial vessels come under threat.
Now, what's really important for you to report and for everyone to understand is this is not an offensive operation. This is a defensive operation. And what that means is very simple. There's no shooting unless we're shot at first. Okay? We're not attacking them. But if they're attacking us or they're attacking a ship, you need to respond to that. You're not going to let some fast boat come up on a ship and shoot it up. We're going to respond to it. And we've been successful at it. I don't know what the exact number is, but I know a number of those fast boats have now been targeted. And will continue to be if they pose a threat to our forces. We'll shoot down drones, we'll shoot down missiles, but it's defensive in nature. This is defensive. So if you hear stories about attacks and launching of firing back and forth, it's not back and forth. We are only responding if attacked first. This is a defensive operation, and that's what's occurring here. Just about the importance of the Straits for a moment. This is approximately a quarter of the world's oil trade, along with significant volumes of fuel and fertilizer that operate through the Straits of Hormuz. The Iranian regime cannot be allowed to dictate who uses this vital waterway.
Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has reacted to Trump's decision to halt his new operation in the Strait of Hormuz. In a post on X, Sharif praised Trump's courageous leadership and timely announcement. Sharif said the pause will go a long way towards advancing regional peace, stability and reconciliation during this sensitive period. Pakistan has acted as a mediator during the ongoing negotiations between the US and Iran, with talks recently held in Islamabad. The Navy of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has thanked captains and owners of vessels in the Gulf and Gulf of Oman for cooperating with new Iranian regulations for transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC recently laid out guidelines for safe passage of innocent ships through the strait and warned that it will block vessels carrying weapons and ammunition destined for US military forces in the region. The Pope has reaffirmed the Church's commitment to preaching peace, saying he has spoken about this mission from the very first moment of his election and continues to stand by it as the anniversary approaches.
Ma io già ho parlato dal primo momento di essere eletto e ormai siamo vicino all'anniversario. Ho detto pace con voi. E la missione della Chiesa è predicare il Vangelo, predicare la pace. Se qualcuno vuole criticarmi per annunciare il Vangelo, che lo faccia con la verità La Chiesa da anni ha parlato contro tutte le armi nucleari, quindi lì non c'è nessun dubbio e quindi spero semplicemente essere ascoltato per i valori della parola di Dio. Grazie.
On to your local news now. The court today ordered the release on bail of Ashan Madhushankar, a social media activist affiliated with the Samagi Janabalawegya, who was arrested on charges of criminal trespass and the misappropriation of public property at the Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council. While the suspect was in the custody of the Dehiwala police, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa visited the site and condemned the arrest, asserting that the individual was merely defending the public's right to information.
Ashan Madhushankar, a social media activist for Samagi Janabalawegya Municipal Councillor Channa Vikumge, had reportedly entered the opposition leader's office at the Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council. Subsequently, the deputy mayor of Dehiwala Mount Lavinia, Vindana Edrisurya, lodged a complaint alleging that the individual had used the council's computer, electricity and photocopy machine to publish a video on social media. The deputy mayor's complaint was filed on the grounds of criminal trespass and the misappropriation of public property. The police later arrested the individual. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa visited the police station this morning to inquire after his well-being.
As we see it, his fundamental rights have been violated through this arrest. We must all realize that freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the right to information and the freedom to present ideas are all human rights. They are fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Therefore, what Ashan actually did was affirm the right to information for 22 million people in this country.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa speaks of the public's right to information in a context where on the 1st of May, journalists who arrived to cover his own party's May Day rally were denied the opportunity to do so. After being produced before the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court this afternoon on charges of criminal trespass and misappropriation of public property, the suspect was released on a personal bail of 100,000 rupees.
Newsfirst with the people.
SJB Member of Parliament Mujibur Rahman raised concerns in Parliament today regarding the death of the Treasury official who was under suspension in connection with the cyber theft of $2.5 million from the General Treasury. Speaking in Parliament, the MP claimed the death was suspicious. However, Minister Harshanana Kara and NPP MP Najit Indika countered his claims, pointing out that the facts presented by the MP regarding the matter were entirely false.
There are lacerations on Ranga Rajapaksa's body. Yet, the police claim to the media that it's a suicide even before any investigation into the death has even taken place. Next, the Ministry of Health appoints a 4-member committee. What is their role? Their task is to find the cause of death. Last week, we saw a death reported from Anuradhapura where the cause of death was initially cited as poisoning from cobra venom. But what was found during the investigation? Someone had thrown a cobra onto the victim's bed. So that is a murder. To find that out, you need an analyst. That isn't the role of the judicial medical officer. The JMO is there to state the medical cause of death. You are a doctor yourself, so you know this. So why is there a desperate attempt to prove that this person committed suicide? Why? That is why, Speaker, a suspicion arises. That is why we suspect this might be a murder. This individual had provided statements to the CID on multiple occasions. He had been summoned to the CID again. If so, there is a suspicion that as one of the four main people in this transaction, he knew some information. The debate is being denied to cover up that suspicion. That is why the debate is being suppressed. When we asked for 2 hours, they gave us only an hour and a half. Now the Minister of Justice is here in this house. Yesterday, he told a blatant lie, claiming that the family members have not filed a complaint. Minister Ajit Pereira mentioned this. What has been said? This is the letter issued by Asela Gunawardena of the Ministry of Health and Media. What does he write in that letter? He states that there is suspicion regarding her husband's death. Yet, the Minister of Justice sits there and says that no such statement was given.
අධිකරණ ඇමතිවරයා කියනවා ඉඳගෙන එහෙම කට උත්තරයක් දුන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. මේ උසාවියට බොරු කියන්නේ මම නෙමෙයි මුජිබුර් රහමාන් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා.
I am not the one lying to court. It is MP Mujibur Rahman, because I say again today, at no point has the deceased's wife filed a complaint with the police regarding this. His claim that Secretary Asela said so is also a falsehood. Furthermore, his intention is to distort this information. In addition, tell me, which police station did the wife complain to and on what date? Because no such thing has happened.
බිරිඳ ෆැමිලි කරේ කියලා. මොකද එහෙම දෙයක් වෙලා නැහැ. මේක මම සභාගත කරනවා මේක
I am tabling this. Our MP Ajit Pereira tabled this yesterday as well. The letter I am presenting is from Dr. Asela Gunawardena, that is the Director General of Health Services.
ඒ කියන්නේ Director General of Health Services. මා ගිය අවස්ථාවේ කිව්වේ මොකද්ද?
What I said then is exactly what I am saying today. This woman never complained to the police at any point. I challenge him, if she complained to the police saying her husband's death was suspicious, just tell me the police station and the date.
ඒ පොලිස් ස්ථානයේ දිනේයි මට කියන්න කියලා විතරයි. දැන් මේ විශේෂඥ අධිකරණ වෛද්‍ය තුමන්ලා 4 දිනක් පරීක්ෂණ කරලා තියෙනවා.
Now, 4 specialist judicial medical officers have conducted investigations, but it seems specialist JMO Mujibur Rahman here knows more than all of them. He knows everything. Not everybody is dissected. There are reasons for it. There are requests. And there are specific procedures. He mentioned the Director General of Health Services letter twice in his speech to claim the family is complaining. What a shameful act. This letter is not about that. There is a specific order to how an incident unfolds. When a body is discovered, the police are the first to get involved. The police then make a request to the magistrate. It is the magistrate who issues the order. In this case, the police made a special request. We know that autopsies are done by specialists when it's a major case. Usually in small hospitals, if it's not a highly suspicious matter, a standard judicial medical officer does it. Otherwise, it is sent to the nearest hospital with a specialist JMO. That is how it should have gone. However, specifically due to the sensitivity of this incident, the police made a request to the Kuliapitia magistrate to go beyond a single medical officer and have a panel to conduct it. It was based on that request from the magistrate's court that the letter was sent to the Director General of Health Services. I am tabling this. It says the same thing. Since the cause of the death has not been revealed, a request is made to refer the cause of the death to a board and conduct a post-mortem. The letter previously read out by the Director General of Health Services was a response to that. In it, they write the word suspicious. If it wasn't suspicious, there would be no need for an autopsy. That is all that's being said. Suspicious doesn't mean the family went and complained. It means there is a reason to conduct an autopsy. Every death has a claimant. It is either the wife, the children, or someone close who handles it. A random person off the street doesn't come for that. Just don't lie. Speak about something you actually know. Otherwise, do you expect the dead man to come and say it? It is suspicious circumstances. That is it. That is why an autopsy is required. That is all this says. It doesn't say anything else. Using this to spin a blatant lie that the wife complained is wrong. Let those people be. Don't lie like this.
UNP Deputy General Secretary for Political Mobilization, Harin Fernando, said that the Samagi Jana Balawega and the United National Party could work together in the future under a dual leadership arrangement.
Let us come together at the grassroots levels. I invite everyone in Sri Lanka to unite. The leader could be Sajith, it could also be Ranil. This effort can move forward under the leadership of both of them. Perhaps, in time, a new leader may also emerge. Harsha De Silva is there. Ruwan Vijayawardena is there. Sujeeva Senasinghe is there. Just look at how many capable individuals this party has. Can anyone even come close to these individuals with us?
බුලට් බඩු ටිකට මේ ළඟට එන්න පුළුවන් මේකේ ඉන්න උන්ට.
Is the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana facing internal divisions?
දැන් ඔබතුමා නාම රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාගේ පිළිද එහෙමත් නැත්නම් බ්‍රසීල් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාගේ පිළිද එහෙමත් නැත්නම් සුගීස්වර බණ්ඩාර ඇතුළු ගෝඨාභය මහත්තයාගේ පිළිදින්නේ කිසිම පිළක් නැහැ.
I don't belong to any faction. My allegiance is to this motherland. The party led by Mahinda Rajapaksa, who gave us strength and protection, is capable of providing leadership to the country. It's not about X, Y or Z factions within the SLPP. I am committed to safeguarding the nation. I'm not aligned with any group. I stand for the party.
මම පක්ෂය වෙනුවෙන් පිළිගන්නවා.
General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana, Sagara Karyavasam, alleged today that the current government is misusing the law to cover up its mistakes.
මේ රටේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාට
How can the country's president say what will be included in a court ruling that is due to be delivered on the 25th of May? If that is the case, then we must ask the Chief Justice of this country about it. This is an insult to the judiciary. If there is any court official involved in this as well, action should be taken against that official too. This is a very unfortunate situation and something that should not happen in a democratic country. The government is allegedly pushing the country into this state in order to hide its own wrongdoing.
යුතු තත්ත්වයකට තමන්ගේ හොරකම් වසා ගැනීම සඳහා මේ ආණ්ඩුව විසින් රට පත් කරමින් තිබෙනවා.
Do the leaders of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana, to which Sagara Karyavasam belongs, remember what they did to the country's first female Chief Justice, Shirani Bandaranayake, when they were in power? Do they remember how a parliamentary select committee was appointed, how multiple allegations were raised against her, investigated, and how political power was ultimately used to remove her from office, accusing her of failing to deliver court rulings in line with political expectations on a draft bill? And not only that, do they remember how victory was celebrated in front of the official residence of the Chief Justice, the highest judicial office in the country, with milk rice and kaum? When Sagara Karyavasam speaks today about the judiciary, has he forgotten that past?
President of Maldives, Dr. Mohamed Muizu, departed the island today, concluding his 3-day official visit. Vietnamese President Tho Lam is scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka tomorrow for a 2-day state visit. Notably, Sri Lanka will have hosted 3 significant diplomatic visits within the span of this week.
Maldivian President Dr. Mohamed Muizu arrived in Sri Lanka on the 3rd of May for a 3-day official visit. During the visit, he held bilateral discussions with President Anurukumara Dissanayake and senior government officials. 7 memoranda of understanding were also exchanged across multiple sectors. As the Maldivian president concluded his visit and departed the island, Sri Lanka is set to welcome Vietnamese President Tho Lam tomorrow for a 2-day official visit at the invitation of President Anurukumara Dissanayake. During the visit, several MOUs are expected to be signed in key areas aimed at further enhancing bilateral cooperation. The Vietnamese president is also scheduled to address the Sri Lankan parliament. Meanwhile, the Russian delegation led by Health Minister Mikhail Murashko concluded a 3-day official visit to Sri Lanka and departed the island yesterday. During the visit, discussions were held with Health Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa on strengthening bilateral cooperation in the health sector. The delegation also visited the Colombo National Hospital and the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Colombo.
The Supreme Court today upheld the death sentences imposed on 4 accused in the abduction, gang rape and murder of 18-year-old schoolgirl Sivaloganathan Vidya in Jaffna. The Apex Court upheld the death sentences previously handed down by the Jaffna High Court's permanent trial at bar, which had found Mahalingam Sashi Kumar, also known as Swiss Kumar, and 3 others guilty of the crime. It must be noted that the accused, known as Swiss Kumar, was not produced before court today.
A 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court, comprising Chief Justice Preeti Padman Surasena and Justices Achala Puli, Priyantha Fernando, Menaka Vijay Sundara and Sampath Abekon, unanimously upheld the death sentences imposed on 4 convicts in the abduction, gang rape and murder of 18-year-old schoolgirl Sivaloganathan Vidya in Jaffna. The accused are Mahalingam Sashi Kumar, alias Swiss Kumar, Pubalasingham Jai Kumar, Tilainathan Chandrahasan, alias Chandra, and Sivadevan Thusitan, alias Periyathambi. The court also ordered the acquittal of two other accused named Mahalingam Sasidaran, alias Sashi, and Jaidaran Kokilan in the case. This order was delivered after considering the appeals filed by the accused against their sentences. The murder took place in 2015 and the Chief Justice stated that the villagers detained the main suspect, Swiss Kumar, and handed him over to the police, but he later fled with the support of a senior police officer and was arrested while in Vellavatta. The Chief Justice also noted that later a case was filed against Lalit Jaisingha, who was serving as the Deputy Inspector General of Police in Jaffna, and that he was convicted and sentenced to 4 years of rigorous imprisonment by the High Court. The Chief Justice also stated that the Attorney General had filed indictments against 9 accused before the Jaffna High Court and that evidence was recorded from 36 people, including 2 eyewitnesses. Excerpt.
During the trial, it was revealed how the accused had deliberately attempted to falsely attribute the murder to the Sri Lanka Navy. The prosecution proved beyond reasonable doubt before the Jaffna High Court's permanent trial at bar that Mahalingam Sashi Kumar, also known as Swiss Kumar, and 3 other accused had conspired to commit the offences of abduction, gang rape and murder. The charges established by the prosecution included criminal conspiracy, acting as an unlawful assembly and the commission of the above offences. The court found that the prosecution had conclusively proven these charges without any reasonable doubt during the trial.
End of excerpt. The Chief Justice stated that the judgment of the Jaffna High Court's permanent trial at bar and the sentences imposed will be upheld. He also said that the appeals filed by the 4 accused seeking acquittal and release will be dismissed. One of the accused, Pubalasingham Tevakumar, alias Sendil, who was sentenced to death, had died during the course of the trial. Additional Solicitor General Azad Namavi represented the Attorney General, while a group of lawyers including Mahinda Jayawardena and Darshana Kurupu appeared for the accused.
The Bribery Commission has stated that indictments have been filed against former Governor of the Central Bank Ajit Niwad Kabral over alleged violations of conditions in the Greek bond case. The Commission made this statement before the special permanent 3-member High Court trial at bar appointed by the Chief Justice to hear the case.
The Bribery Commission stated that the amount of over 1.84 billion rupees to be paid by former Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Kabral under the conditions of the Greek bond case has not yet been settled. The Bribery Commission launched an investigation into the alleged loss of over 1.84 billion rupees to the government over the purchase of Greek government bonds at a time when Greece was facing a severe economic crisis and making the purchase despite being fully aware of the situation. Charges were filed against former Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Kabral, former Deputy Governor Dharmasena Dheerasinghe and Assistant Governors Don Vasantananda Silva and M.A. Karunaratna. On the 10th of December last year, the Colombo High Court ordered conditional discharge of former Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Kabral, while the other 3 accused were acquitted unconditionally. According to the conditions imposed on Kabral's release, the loss of over 1.84 billion rupees arising from the transaction was required to be credited to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka within 3 months. That deadline expired on the 10th of March 2026. Following this, the Bribery Commission requested the Chief Justice to appoint a special permanent 3-member High Court trial at bar to hear the case. High Court judges Manoj Thalkotapitiya, Udesh Ranatunga and Buddhika Sriragala have been appointed as members of the 3-judge bench.
Colombo Additional Magistrate Lahiru Silva ordered today that 2 individuals who appeared in court after obtaining money to provide bail on behalf of former Sri Lankan Airlines officer Kapila Chandrasena, who was released on bail yesterday after being held in remand, have been remanded until the 13th of this month.
Kapila Chandrasena, the former Chief Executive Officer of Sri Lankan Airlines, had been remanded in connection with allegations of receiving a $2 million bribe in the purchase of Airbus aircraft for Sri Lankan Airlines. Presenting the suspects who had appeared in court and provided bail for him, officer in charge of the crime branch of the Keselwatta police station, Sub-Inspector Anuruddha, stated that the suspects were arrested and produced before court after accepting 15,000 rupees each to act as sureties despite having no personal connection with Kapila Chandrasena or any knowledge of him. The two remanded individuals are Mohammad Rizwan and Mohammad Irshan, who are residents of Sanchi Arachiwatta in Hulsdorf. Police further told the court that the magistrate had observed that under the provisions of the Bail Act, the sureties would not be able to produce the accused in court when required and that there was no connection between the accused and the sureties. Police also stated that the suspects were arrested following a complaint made by court officials after verifying the Grama Niladhari certificate submitted by them. During questioning, the suspects reportedly revealed that they agreed to act as sureties at the request of two individuals named Deva and Tissa, and that they had been paid 15,000 rupees for this purpose. Police further stated that this constitutes an offence punishable under the provisions of the Bail Act No. 30 of 1997. After considering the facts, the additional magistrate ordered the police to submit a comprehensive report on the suspects and their Grama Niladhari certification process and remanded the suspects until the 13th of May.
Police have arrested 71 foreign nationals, including citizens of Vietnam and the Philippines, while they were staying at a building in Kollupitia. The arrests were made on suspicion of involvement in computer-related crimes.
The suspects were taken into custody during a raid conducted by Kolpiti police this evening, with further investigations currently underway. With this latest operation, the total number of foreign nationals arrested this year in connection with suspected cyber-related offences has risen to 699. Authorities also note that 157 foreigners have been arrested within the past 4 days alone over similar suspicions following earlier raids in Rajagiriya and Thalangama.
Love's Gas PLC has increased the prices of its LP gas cylinders with effect from midnight on the 7th of May 2026. Issuing a statement, the company announced that this price increase has been made amid continued escalation in global market pressures in the procurement of LPG. Accordingly, the price of a 12.5 kilogram of cylinder in the Colombo district will be increased by 545 rupees and the new price will be 6,245 rupees. Meanwhile, the price of a 5 kilogram cylinder in the Colombo district will be increased by 220 rupees and the new price will be 2,500 rupees. The statement adds that Love's Gas remains committed to ensuring uninterrupted LPG availability to domestic, commercial and industrial customers across Sri Lanka despite the challenging global operating environment. On to international news, the Tamil Nadu political landscape has begun to heat up after the Congress party extended its support to the Tamilaga Vetri Kazhagam, led by actor Joseph Vijay Chandrasekhar, which secured 108 seats in the 17th Assembly elections.
Governor Rajendra Arlekar has officially dissolved the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly with effect from the 5th of May, according to an order issued today. In a parallel development, the 15th Puducherry Legislative Assembly has also been dissolved with effect from yesterday as per the order of the Lieutenant Governor. Meanwhile, the Congress party has announced a major political shift, ending its 10-year alliance with the Dravida Munnetra Kalagam or the DMK in Tamil Nadu. The party has declared its support for the Tamilaga Vetri Kalagam or TVK, led by actor Joseph Vijay, to form the government. In its statement, the Congress party said its support is conditional, stressing that it will not back any alliance involving quote-unquote communal forces and that only parties committed to constitutional values will be part of the arrangement. It further stated that the new alliance would be guided by the principles of social justice inspired by Periyar, B.R. Ambedkar and the legacy of K. Kamaraj. Following the announcement, senior Congress leaders reportedly met Joseph Vijay at his Panayur office. Later, Vijay also met Governor Rajendra Arlekar at the Raj Bhavan and staked claim to form the government. However, Indian media reports say the governor has sought confirmation of a 118 MLA majority and has not yet extended an invitation to form the government. As a result, the swearing-in ceremony, reportedly scheduled for tomorrow, remains uncertain. Meanwhile, DMK spokesperson Saravanan Annadurai criticized the Congress decision, calling it a betrayal of the alliance and warning of political repercussions. At present, the Tamil Nadu Victory Party is said to have secured support from 5 MLAs with Congress backing, and efforts are reportedly underway to gain additional support from other regional and left-leaning parties. In other developments in Indian politics, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has rejected claims of electoral defeat following a major setback for the Trinamool Congress, while the Bharatiya Janata Party, or the BJP, has reportedly secured a historic majority in the state.
Spanish Health Minister Monica Garcia said passengers of the MV Honduras, the cruise ship linked to a hantavirus outbreak that has killed 3 people, will be allowed to evacuate the ship after it docks in the Canary Islands later this week. She also said that those with symptoms will be quarantined.
Spanish Health Minister Monica Garcia said the MV Honduras, the cruise ship linked to a hantavirus outbreak that has killed 3 people, is en route to the Granadilla port in Tenerife, where all passengers will be evacuated before those without symptoms are allowed to return to their home countries. Authorities on Wednesday confirmed the disease circulating on the ship is the rare Andes variant of hantavirus, a rare zoonotic virus carried by rodents, and said there are at least 5 unconfirmed cases. In a statement on X, the World Health Organization said Swiss authorities have confirmed a 3rd case of the hantavirus after a man who had traveled on the MV Honduras cruise ship was hospitalized in the country. The BBC reported the man was part of the early leg of the cruise ship's trip to South America but had flown back to his home country at the end of April. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus also announced that they have evacuated 3 suspected hantavirus patients from the ship who are now on their way to receive medical care in the Netherlands. 3 deaths linked to outbreak have been reported so far, but only one of them has been identified as a confirmed hantavirus case.
Ted Turner, the founder of the CNN network, has died at the age of 87.
Media mogul and philanthropist Ted Turner, the founder of CNN and a pioneer of 24-hour television news, has passed away at the age of 87. Turner launched cable news network as the first dedicated rolling news channel in 1980, which soon became a central part of the media landscape. Born in Ohio, later based in Atlanta, widely known as the Mouth of the South for his outspoken personality, built a vast media empire that included the first cable superstation as well as popular movie and cartoon channels. He also owned major professional sports franchises, including the Atlanta Braves. Beyond media, Turner was an internationally recognized yachtsman, a philanthropist who founded the United Nations Foundation, and a prominent activist advocating for the global elimination of nuclear weapons. He was also a leading conservationist and one of the largest private landowners in the United States.
And that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.